Alright guys, Kremp again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. A hugely important moment in the history of OpTic Texas. If they cannot turn it around next weekend of the Minor 2 tournaments going into Major 2 at their home event in Dallas, is it going to be the end of the team that won the World Championship not all that long ago? Lots of criticism of their team, of course, over the last few days, but they do have the optimal first round game at the Minor. We're going to look at the entire bracket today, what the new context around this bracket is based on the results over the last couple of weekends, how realistic is OpTic's run through this tournament to an impressive finish, and Nabel giving his thoughts on exactly what OpTic might need to change in the players, not just the player that is holding them back at the moment. Very much intro to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, wanted to get into a little bit of the follow-up on yesterday's Thieves versus Toronto result because there's a bit of drama around it. This was a legendary tweet, I thought. I think Crone came back and did this one actually. Now, well, you guys might wonder what this is. I'm sure some of you have seen it around social media the last couple of days, but yeah, GG, and then, well, obviously fill in the gaps. Now, this got 20,000 likes on Twitter, and the reference here is, I didn't share this yesterday, I could have done, but here's Nadeshot, and he's playing a bit of Marvel Rivals, which he's been doing a lot of as of late. Even when Thieves played OpTic in that qualifier match that Kenny got the 1v2 in the Game 5 round 11, he was watching Marvel Rivals, I think, and then came over to watch that one for that final round. But, you know, you can see what he types in here into the chat, obviously talking a bit of trash. And these games are pretty funny when people, I don't know, it's effectively seen this and said, oh, well, he's trying to circumvent the profanity rules. But instead of putting in, you know, 4 asterisks, it only puts in 3, and you know, it ends up not looking great, does it really, for Nate? So he recognises it and he kind of goes back to the keyboard and says, oh, I'm not really sure what to do about it. Obviously everyone's losing full. This got 12 million views here on Twitter, and then even Marvel Rivals themselves then tweeted this out, which got 170 odd thousand likes. So yeah, this is blowing up over the last couple of days. It was doing the rounds on social media, so after they took the victory, this was a pretty good tweet in the circumstances. We do have a clip as well of what they were saying to the other side, of course. Like Ghosty and JoeDeceives, they played together last year, they had some good success, and I think that it was cool to see that Joe's reaction was just smiling. It was like, okay, whatever. And it's not like Joe was to blame. He had a minute 30 in the hill, 49 kills. It was really CleanX. They had a pretty rough map one yesterday, but could, you know, the Toronto team have done a better job capitalizing on the kills that they had? Probably the answer is yes. They don't need to make a move, though. I think Toronto are okay as it stands. There was obviously talk about when Hook was available, whether they could consider him. There was even people saying, you know, minus JoeDeceives plus Hook. I don't think that's a good idea. I think they should stick it out as they currently are, but, you know, I don't think Toronto are quite where they want to be right now. Neither are Gentlemates, obviously. There has been talk about this. What do you guys think about this potential roster, right? Because the rumour has it that Priestahh is coming back. We don't know if that's true yet, but apparently Gataga said it. So, you know, we'll see whether Priestahh comes back in for Skyz and they run a Priestahh-Luna's AR duo with Kiz and Lynz on the sub. Kiz should not be going anywhere. He's been their best player this season. Luna's well, in his second series, he showed some promise. He's obviously a talented player. Your first series in the league, there's always going to be some pressure on. He didn't play very fast. I think he can be, you know, a player for the future of potentially this franchise. The question has been whether they could bring in Hook. Now, look, as I said before, a Lynz-Hook sub-duo would be insanely chaotic, and I don't know if it's possible to keep either of those guys on a leash at the right time. But equally, there is some serious upside there. And Kiz could run a flex. I think absolutely he could. So something to at least think about and keep in mind. I don't know if it's the best thing, but the issue for Gentlemates is they've just been very slow. This is a way to speed them up. Whether that's the correct answer or not is another question. And also, quickly on Cloud9, because they took a great victory yesterday, slamming Boston. Now look, was there some degree of server cheese in there? Probably the answer is yes. It seems they're playing on a Denver server. Of course, Denver, Colorado. You know what, let's just bring up Google Maps. I might as well. Okay, here we go, the glorious return. And, well, anyway, the boys on Cloud9, of course, Cloud9 New York, are based out of Los Angeles. So, okay, whatever, Cloud9 are based out of there. I don't really know why it's the New York spot. It is what it is. And over in New York, of course, just north, you have Boston. Now, the Boston guys are based out of Boston. Most teams are in Texas. The Atlanta boys are in Atlanta. Of course, the Texas boys are in Dallas. Most of the other teams, I'd say, are in Dallas, but some teams are scattered around. Of course, you've got the Vancouver boys up in Vancouver, right? There's been lots of talk about that, and of course some teams still based down in LA, although it might not be optimal from an internet perspective. So that series last night, the Boston guys, obviously they're living in Boston, they would be hoping probably to play on, you'd think, a Dallas server, right? Like you look Dallas to LA to Boston, you know, that might be about right. Or people were talking about a Kansas City server that apparently they used to have, but supposedly they don't really use that one anymore. But instead, this was apparently on a Denver server. And look, we know that what they say is that they use the ping tool to equalize the ping, so it was all totally fair. But look, I don't know, Boston weren't really talking about it, like roasting the league or anything. They could have done, but I think Boston are generally pretty PR trains. You know, they might have told the guys, all right, just maybe don't say anything. There's really nothing positive that can be gained from it. But still, if you're looking Denver, Colorado, you're looking to LA and to Boston, obviously, you would favour the team based in LA in this specific case, you would think anyway. That apparently is the server they're playing on, but it wasn't just that. I mean, okay, a difference in ping is relevant, and it's probably more relevant to the fact that it just kind of checks out the other team. That's at least my read on it. Like, if you know that you're at a disadvantage, you're already in your head making excuses or making that excuses to why you lost, and then it just affects the quality of play, because Boston are not as bad as they played yesterday, but maybe Cloud9 are just as good as they appeared, because they looked very good. And I think one of the positive things about the way that they are trending, as Accuracy says, they don't owe me the hill sprints after that series. So Accuracy, let's not forget, he helped OpTic going into last year's World Championship, seemed to get Kenny and Pred and the rest of the guys on the same page after a disastrous Major 4, and yeah, as Enable says, general aBeZy, right? Because it seems like Accuracy's got them locked in. The guys are doing workouts together, they're building the team chemistry outside of the game, and sure, they started real slow this season, but they've had a massive turnaround, and with other teams regressing, I think they seem to be approaching things in a very sensible way, let's say, inside and outside of the game. Now, the other thing that Enable was talking about, though, was the OpTic guys. I wanted to share a clip here for you guys in a second of what Enable had to say on, especially that map 1 hardpoint between Ravens and OpTic, where they lost by over 100 points. There were multiple plays that just didn't really make all that much sense. And of course, Kenny has not had some great series lately, and if there was anyone to go, it probably would be him. But it's not just Kenny, Dashy's not been very impactful, and Pred, despite dropping okay numbers, his decision-making, ever since he came back into the league, I think has been highly questionable. This game is simply different to Black Ops, so yeah, this Black Ops 6 game is different to last year's Modern Warfare 3. OpTic, I'm sure, know that, but it's still about executing on some of the differences and actually playing well together. Enable was talking a little bit about the contrast between when Envoy was underperforming back on Vanguard, but yeah, this is what Enable said. Ken is cheeked right now, but if you watch OpTic, you will see a team that is making absurdly stupid plays consistently, and it's not because they don't know the right play, it's just a lack of effort or discipline. And this kind of aligns with what Enable's about to share in this clip, where he says, look, either OpTic simply don't know how to play the game right, which is bad, and, you know, they need to solve that ASAP and Karma has a job to do, or they're simply not focused, disciplines, putting in the effort as if they're playing a game of ranked.
That's not on Kenny. Now he gets an extra death, and guess what? He's got to fucking trek across the map, dog. It's a bit different than it was when you were competing. It is. Even if Pred got 2 right there, that shit is pointless.
It's like it's a hungry competition, and yeah, if you get caught slipping, bro, I don't care who you are, you can get slammed. Yeah, 100%.
And like, here's the thing, bro, these guys on OpTic are all really good players. There's no way that you're telling me they're this brain dead. All of a sudden, they're this brain dead? Like, that is the type of play that I make in ranked when I play COD ranked. You want to know why? Because I'm not going 100%. Because when you're not really 100% into it, bro, your effort's not there. Then your attention to detail's not there. And I can't fault anyone in the OpTic camp, because you just not, as a competitor, you don't do this. But there's 1 or 2 options, because this has happened all 3 series now. Consistently. It's happened all 3 series. Right? This is not like a one-off play. Either A, the vibes are off. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but the vibes is off in the camp. And if DB3, you know what I mean, that guy's got rings, bro, he's a go. If he's saying that that's a fade to take, well then guess what? The only other option is you're telling me that your team is brain dead. So I don't know which one is worse. The fuck is Pred doing, bro?
It could be right side. He's already in. He's already in. He's in computer.
What's he doing, yo?
I'm up. He's already in.
What?
Free door, one shot. One shot.
Two that! There's two that they all spawn. You could go with fucking shot. You could, I mean, shit. Dolphin dive right on out top mid the big door with Shotzzy, or just fucking run into spiral. Or I understand, no, or I do understand this because I be doing this shit in ranked as well. They're spawning out. Bang, I'm gonna go to the fucking zip to bottom grannies and flank it.
So whether you agree with Enable or not, they have a few days to figure this whole thing out. These are the current standings of the Major 2 qualifiers so far. Now, of course, the 30 points here goes towards the World Championship. The minor doesn't count for major qualification, but it's also worth keeping in mind, OpTic are currently 0 in 3, 0 in 9 map counts. And even the teams in, 8th and 9th and in this kind of ballpark, their map count is pretty even, right? Like Ravens are 7 in 6, obviously Boston are 8 in 9. So, these are the type of teams that OpTic will have to overhaul if they want to make winners brackets at their own major. I mean, as it stands, FaZe are going to make winners, there's no doubt about that. And then every other team already has 3 wins, right? So Thieves are at 3-0, Surge are at 3-0, Cloud9 are at 3-1, and Rocker are at 3-1, and then you got FaZe. So, those 5 teams are making winners bracket for sure. Boston is a question mark. I think Toronto will make it. Gentlemates might improve if they make another change. Heretics, they're 1 in 2, but they're good enough to make it for sure. So, OpTic have to find 4 teams that they can outperform here. And the issue is when you're 0 in 9 map counts, is that getting back to, let's say they finish 3 in 4, that might be okay, but their map counts is still not going to be good, is it, right? Because even if they win those series that they win 3-1, 3-2, whatever, and it's doubtful they're going to start coming out slamming teams 3-0, then their map count is going to be an issue in terms of qualifying for the winners bracket. Now, as I say, the minor doesn't really count towards that. They play, I think it's Heretics, Toronto, Thieves, and Gentlemates. Those are their final 4 games. So, they play teams that are down here in the mix, so it could be some good results, but of course, Thieves is going to be a serious challenge on their hands. And the upcoming weekends, they play the minor. And I think this is going to be quite telling because, look, if a couple weekends ago, when they got 3'd by Rocker and FaZe, if that wasn't the wake-up call, certainly a couple of days ago will have been, a serious problem for them. So this is how things went after the qualifiers that we've seen, and this is what it looks like for the minor. So OpTic play Falcons in the first round. That is a known game now for a little bit of time, and OpTic obviously absolutely have to win that series. I don't think they can lose. Well, I think they can lose it. I don't think they will. Look, a lot of teams, they approach playing Falcons like they're playing ranked, and, well, I think OpTic shouldn't have too much difficulties there, but still, it's like OpTic Search and Destroy looks pretty questionable. We know that Falcons can win that mode. So if there's any kind of series where maybe Falcons could pull off a Neslo, right now OpTic have to be like their best chance, right? Like, it's funny to say, but I know that there's some OpTic fans out there that would be like, even if OpTic were top of the league, absolutely cooking everyone, they're still somehow capable of losing to the Falcons, more so than any other team. And, we've seen with this OpTic team before, like, the ceiling is mega, the floor is very, very low, and that's what we're seeing at the moment. But it's more than just the Falcon series, right? Because after that, they play Ultra, a team who had a pretty difficult start to this run, really. I still think Ultra are pretty good. They played Thieves relatively close yesterday, but it was a 3-0 smoke show in terms of the actual end of the game scoreboard nonetheless. And they've not looked really as good, maybe Toronto, as I thought they might be. Even Cloud9 are now looking like maybe the serious force to challenge as a dark horse rather than Toronto Ultra making a finals winning an event, whatever you want to say. That's an interesting series. Assuming OpTic win against Falcons, that's a series that will be quite telling, because if OpTic can't get close to Ultra, then, it's another serious issue, because if OpTic do beat Ultra, that then puts them in, a position of some confidence. Then, of course, they will likely play FaZe. maybe Surge, who knows, right? I mean, like, Surge, FaZe, obviously Surge beat them before, but likely it's going to be FaZe, and I don't really see FaZe not getting to the grand finals here. They play the winner of Boston Surge. On the other side, I think Thieves should be making the finals again. Like, on paper, you're going to say, okay, it's going to be another FaZe versus Thieves final. It's a best of 7 they're doing for this, by the way, and notably, this is single elimination, so if you lose, you're out, right? So that's why OpTic, there's no elimination bracket here. They can't afford to lose at any turn. Honestly, Rocker Cloud9 to me is like one of the pick of the first round games, probably the pick of the first round games, I think. That's exciting, and the winner of that plays Thieves. So I think both of these games are really interesting. Ravens play the winner of Heretics Gentlemate, so, you know, likely Thieves should make the finals, likely FaZe should make the finals, but I think, you know, OpTic versus Falcons, maybe that is the pick of the first round games at this point, right? Because I know that some of you guys were suggesting yesterday, and I kind of agree, we should just pretend the Falcons don't exist. But actually, you know, on some regard, I look forward to seeing them play because, like, you know what you're going to get, but it can be entertaining if you approach it the right way. And I do think that I'm genuinely looking forward to OpTic Falcons more than any series for a very long time. I'm absolutely fascinated by what's going to happen there, but very much interested in your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.